America has seen leaders who stepped into the Oval Office during chaos, crisis, war, recession, division, and somehow managed to change the direction of history. Presidents who weren't just politicians, but symbols of courage, vision, strength, and impossible decisions. Today, we look at the 10 presidents many Americans consider the true GOATs. Not because they were perfect, but because the country they inherited was never the same after they left. We begin with a modern icon, Barack Obama. When Obama entered office, America was drowning in the worst economic collapse since the Great Depression. Banks failing, millions losing jobs, fear everywhere. Yet calm and steady, he pushed through the Affordable Care Act, restructured the auto industry, and slowly rebuilt the economy. His approval wasn't universal, but his voice was inspirational, measured, and historic. Under his leadership, Osama bin Laden was hunted down. Same-sex marriage gained unstoppable momentum, and a new generation in America grew up believing the impossible could be achieved. Even his harshest critics admit, his presidency left a cultural and political legacy few can match. Before Obama, another giant dominated the conservative imagination, Ronald Reagan. When he spoke, Americans listened. When he smiled, they felt hope. Reagan took office when inflation was out of control, the Cold War was boiling, and national confidence was fading. But he delivered a bold economic experiment, reduced taxes, and strengthened America's military posture. And then, the moment that echoed across the world. Mr. Gorbachev, tear down this wall. Reagan didn't end the Cold War alone, but he pushed the domino that started the fall. His policies remain debated, but his impact on American identity is undeniable. Long before Reagan, Dwight D. Eisenhower led from a place of calm discipline, a war hero turned president. His leadership style was quiet, steady, almost understated, but his achievements weren't. He created the interstate highway system, which reshaped America forever. He strengthened NATO, balanced budgets, and guided the country through tense Cold War pressures. Eisenhower wasn't dramatic. He didn't need to be. His legacy is the strong, stable foundation of modern America. Then comes Harry Truman, a man who never expected to be president, and yet was forced to make some of the hardest decisions in world history. Truman inherited World War II in its deadliest final stage. He approved the controversial atomic bombings, ending the war, but starting ethical debates that continue today. He launched the Marshall Plan, rebuilding Europe, and created NATO, locking the United States into global leadership. When the Cold War began, it was Truman who drew the line. His presidency was a storm, but he steered through it with blunt honesty and a stubborn belief in doing what he thought was right. But few presidents shaped the American spirit like Theodore Roosevelt. Bursting with energy, charisma, and fearlessness, he was the cowboy president, the man who spoke softly but carried a big stick. He broke up monopolies, protected workers, fought corruption, and created vast national parks. Thanks to him, millions of acres of American wilderness remain untouched today. He believed America should be strong, bold, and confident, and his leadership reflected exactly that. Even today, he stands as a symbol of fearless action. And then there is Franklin Delano Roosevelt, FDR. When he took office, America was broken, banks collapsing, unemployment sky high, families losing homes, people losing hope. He didn't offer fear, he offered a promise. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. With the New Deal, he rebuilt the nation's economy. With Social Security, he created a safety net that still protects millions. And during World War II, he became the steady, reassuring voice that carried the country through darkness. FDR served 4 terms, more than any president in history, because the nation couldn't imagine facing crisis without him. Long before FDR, Thomas Jefferson set the foundation of America's democratic ideals. He wrote the words that still define the country: all men are created equal. As president, he doubled the size of the nation with the Louisiana Purchase, opening the door to westward expansion. Jefferson believed in freedom, progress, and the power of ideas. Even centuries later, his philosophy still shapes America's moral core. Then we have John F. Kennedy, the president who lived in the spotlight and died in tragedy. Young, charismatic, and inspiring, Kennedy brought optimism at a time when America faced Cold War tension and deep inequality. He pushed for civil rights, called for peace, and launched the moon mission with the iconic promise: we choose to go to the moon. Not because it is easy, but because it is hard. His presidency was short, but his impact was permanent. His speeches still echo, his vision still moves people, and his legacy still feels unfinished. But no list is complete without the first president, George Washington. When Washington took office, There was no blueprint, no tradition, no example. He created the presidency. He refused to become a king, refused unlimited power, and stepped down after 2 terms, setting a standard for democracy worldwide. He held the fragile new nation together and gave it the stability it desperately needed. Without Washington, the United States might never have survived its birth. And finally, the #1 GOAT president, Abraham Lincoln. America was tearing itself apart, brothers at war, a nation divided. The Civil War was more than a conflict. It was an existential crisis. Lincoln faced hatred, threats, accusations, and unimaginable pressure. Yet he stayed focused on one mission: saving the Union and ending slavery. The Emancipation Proclamation changed the destiny of millions. His leadership, calm and moral, guided the country through its darkest hour. When he was assassinated, even his enemies felt the loss. Lincoln didn't just lead a country, he transformed its soul. These 10 leaders shaped America not only by their victories, but by their courage, their choices, and their belief that the nation could always be better than it was yesterday. Some dealt with wars, others with economic collapse, others with injustice or global threats, but all of them left a mark that time cannot erase. Their legacies continue to influence debates, decisions, and dreams in today's America. The United States has had presidents who were loved and hated, praised and criticized, remembered and forgotten. But the ones on this list, these are the presidents whose names will always echo through history. Leaders who didn't just serve their time, they changed their time. And in doing so, they changed the world. And now the question goes to you. Who do you believe is the true GOAT president? Whose leadership inspires you the most? And who would you add to this list? Because the story of America isn't written by one president. It's written by generations of leaders, each shaping the chapters that follow. But these 10, these are the ones who define the nation.